All right, here we are back at the Business Roundtable Podcast. We're here to help you lead your business well, and I've got a returning guest, Bil Hatch, on tonight. And we were going through, and we've thought a perfect topic to discuss is how do we stay calm in crisis situations? And I don't know if any of you guys have been following Southern California. We've had a lot of crises of late, with fires and all sorts of, I've got literally a flood warning on my phone today. We've got rain coming down here. Those are just the weather conditions. We're not talking about all the business changes regarding cash flow challenges, staffing, folks of change and numerous challenges or crises that come up in a business. And so I thought, you know, Bil has been seasoned. He's seen a lot, worked with a lot of businesses and a lot of business owners and teams, as have I. So together, our combined superpowers here are to really help discuss mindset and strategies that can help you stay calm and make sound decisions while under pressure. Uh, and so, Bil, welcome back to the
Thank
Business
you.
Roundtable podcast. I'm excited to dig into this topic with you today.
Me too. It's a great topic, and can be used in all manner of situations.
Hmm. Absolutely. I know you've served as a leader in different organizations, businesses, nonprofits.
Hmm.
And so, you know, can you share a little bit, Bil, about your background here? For those of you that haven't heard Bil, he's been on our podcast since we've started early in 2023, and we love having him back because he's got so many different experiences. But just briefly, Bil, just sharing a little bit about your history and background working in kind of high stakes and dealing with crises over time.
Well, is it crises or crises? I'm not
Crises.
sure.
Well,
our first, our
if you're
first,
listening to this,
our
give us your
first crisis.
comments. Yeah, this is a crisis. What do you know? Uh,
Well, my experiences uh,
mhm,
range across a broad number of industries. Some of my biggest experiences are with the automotive industry and with the insurance industry. So a lot
mhm,
of sales background on in there. A lot of a lot of regulations going on in there.
mhm,
And so it's really easy to get in those industries to get into a crisis with just having to do with the what the government decides it's going to do.
mhm,
Um, auto industry has not just the automotive regulations, but also banking regulations
mhm.
go into that. And with insurance, you've got FINRA, which can be that can be a bear. Um, but yeah, I had one once where I was creating the Yelp page for an insurance agent, and all I did was copy the information that was on the business card that was already approved by FINRA, and
Uh-huh.
FINRA sent a cease and desist letter.
Oh,
Said you
geez.
can't do that. Yeah, so so I had to take it down.
Oh my goodness. So
Yeah.
multiple industries. I come in so you just hit transportation, banking, automotive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I cover
Um,
environmental also regulations, but
yeah,
a
I've
lot of
got
things.
some engineering
Yeah,
there
engineering,
too.
right?
Yeah.
I work with some engineering, seen some engineering crises as well. Are so you're hearing from seasoned experts, folks that have been in these multiple fields for years between Bil and I, and we don't want you to make the same mistakes that we did, right, Bil, or fall
Hmm.
into the traps of
Yeah.
uh, being fearful and not and making poor decisions in the midst of that. And so Bil has a lot of expertise, in his background, and I wanted to have on here from psychology and just understanding
Yeah.
oneself. And so I just thought, Bill, if we could start with just mindset of just literally how do we stay calm? Because some people don't haven't even practiced it
Hmm.
or are not intentional about this about staying calm. So could you talk maybe about the idea of you know the psychology or background between panicking and having composure and remaining calm.
Hmm.
Um, Because
Well,
how do we react under this stress?
yeah. Um, actually, I've got a saying from my favorite YouTube meteorologist, and he said Ryan Hall, y'all. Um, he says, "Don't be scared, be prepared," and
Mhm.
that's where you get your mindset from, is the preparation. Um, you know, my favorite, I guess, example to use, is when I was in an industrial fire.
Mm.
And that's a situation when panic can really set in and do you a lot of damage. Um, I got burns to the backs of both of my hands, second and third degree, and and I, after removing myself from the fire, of course, while being on fire, my first instinct was to pray. And then after that, I finally got somebody's attention to let me inside. And everybody else was panicking. And I had to stay calm. And I definitely believe the Lord was helping me with that. But a lot of it comes from preparation, from things that you learn and set up in advance, to deal with these kinds of situations, so that while
Mhm.
everybody else is panicking, you can say, okay, you find the first aid kit, you
Yep.
find out where we're supposed to go after this, you find out, you do this, you do that, and keep everything moving in the right direction.
Mhm.
And and then you can, that mindset applies to just about any kind of situation that you can find yourself in. Go, prepare, learn all the things we're going to talk about, and then you'll, when the situation happens, whether it's a fire or a flood or an earthquake or a tornado. um, so I know some people in the South tonight are having tornadoes, but
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, then you'll be in the right mindset to be effective,
Yes.
and you'll effectively be the leader because everyone else will be panicking. So no matter what your situation is, whether you're officially a leader or not, you'll suddenly find yourself thrust into the position. So
Mhm.
definitely be prepared.
Yeah, so, um, yeah, you hit on a few different things, and as you're
Yeah.
talking about being prepared, I don't know why this vision comes to my mind, but I'm thinking of the Titanic movie, where
Hmm.
there's people literally panicking, they're filling up the lifeboats half full, or they didn't figure out how to plan all this, and then you have
Hmm.
people, you hear the stories of, the people that stayed back were playing music, try and keep everybody calm, even though they knew they were going down, but they remained composure because they knew how that would affect everybody else's brain. And so it's like we can either go to the panic and everybody panics, and you see unfortunately terrible things like, where people in concerts or people have been crushed or something like that, and everybody, instead of
Hmm.
understanding this, instead of maintaining the composure and working together. One thing I will say, is practicing this. We have here in California, what is it, the Great Shakeout, where they have like a earthquake and they go through the days, or
Hmm.
what I've done in buildings where we do like, fire drills. And it seems kind of silly at some point. You're like, what are we doing? But in reality, when you realize this, we're training our brains to experience, like, go through it, the composure. So if you've never contemplated, right, like this, like you just said, Bill, some of these things, and it's like completely brand new to you, you're definitely probably gonna panic because it's all brand new. But if you've, like, at least contemplated and recognized, "Okay, this could happen. These are the scenarios that might occur," the more that we can do that, you know, we can't be 100% prepared, but that definitely, in my experience, helps minimize panic and helps you stack in the composure column. What, Bill, that been
Hmm.
your experience?
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, just knowing your business inside and out, knowing what can happen, and the consequences of things happening. Um, well, that will help you in
Right.
when those situations come up. You need your own fire drill, if you will, for various types of situations that can happen in your business.
Mm-hmm.
Like an audit coming through, or uh, or the fire marshal coming in and saying, "Okay, we need to review all of this." Then
Right.
you'll be in a good situation.
Yeah, I think we need to be intentional and mindful. There are practical, very real classes and courses that you can take, like sexual harassment is another one. You don't want to be surprised by that. Like, how do you have
Right.
emotional intelligence resilience if you have somebody come up and talk to you or share with you that, so you don't say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing? And so, it's important, like you're saying, Bill, to, we're gonna get here in a moment some practical strategies you can take, but to maintain perspective in these high pressure moments. But
Right.
I think it's important that we cultivate calmness. You and I've talked about, we're gonna talk about some things that you can do there, but recognize there's like you said, the audit's gonna come, the employee is gonna quit unexpectedly. Perhaps,
Hmm.
these things are it's not if, it's just what it's gonna be. And maybe you don't know every scenario, I get that, but you've practiced and you've gone through some scenarios so that you can be calm in the midst of it. I have 2 children, now they're older. They challenge me, yeah, oftentimes, and so how do I remain calm and present and not, flipping out, in being, not really emotionally intelligent, not resilient. In fact, I crumple, if you will. And I think that's the difference in somebody that's a true leader, is how are they able to stay composed and have that emotional intelligence and withstand the pressure, right?
Right. Right. And and we'll go through some techniques that'll work
Yeah.
more universally, and
Yeah.
some
I want to
things you
get to
can
some
do that. Yeah.
Yeah, some practical strategies that you've applied, Bill.
Mhm.
So if you wouldn't mind, just, let's just dive in there here in our on our podcast today. What are some practical strategies for crisis leadership that you've seen effective?
Well, one of the things that I attribute some of my calmness under pressure to is actually martial arts.
Mm.
I back when I was healthier, uh, I have back and knee problems now, but I studied Aikido, and there's a lot of mindfulness that is
Mm.
taught in those types of classes, whether it's Aikido or one of the other multitude of martial arts, and it can really help you to be aware in whatever situation you happen to be in where panic might otherwise set in. And you look back. I watched a couple episodes of the old Kung Fu show not too long
Mhm.
ago, and the master was never excited.
Mm.
Everything, no matter what came along, and of course, Kwai Chin Kane, the main character played by oh, now I've forgotten his name. But anyway, he never got excited. He was always present. He No matter what the situation came upon him, because he was an unarmed man in the old West, in the old
Mm.
American West, and he was always calm, cool, and collected. And
Mhm.
he was able to think then of the solution to the situation, and come through with flying colors. Um, and that's something that we need to emulate. And we do that by studying in advance. Just studying of any kind, that anything that builds your brain will help you have pathways that will help you think when you need to think on your feet,
Mm.
and come across those situations. So I highly recommend taking up some kind of martial art. It doesn't have to be one of the more violent ones.
Hmm.
It can be something like oh, what's the one where they do the movements in the parks and all? What is that one called?
Oh yeah. Sorry, you got me, but I know there's a whole
Yeah,
host of different
but yeah,
martial art techniques out there.
find out what's being taught in your local area
Hmm.
and look into it. You know, it can definitely help, especially for those leaders just starting out and
Hmm.
who want to build a good foundation for
I
their
definitely think
business
some
acumen.
physical exercise or movement is good
Yeah.
because it puts you, in a way of like, don't freak out, especially people that like lifting weights. I've done that too. If somebody's helping with you, like, oh my gosh, this is too much. Just going through the feelings of what I
Yeah.
call the fight or flight. My background is in biology, and there's that kind of that lizard brain where we're like, hey, we're gonna run for it or we're gonna fight because we're scared. We don't know what to do.
Mhm.
I use a technique called the stacking tool, which has helped me, which I've talked about before. Literally, it's an app where I go through this process of stopping what I'm doing, struggling through whatever the challenge is. And again, depends on how much time you have with the crisis and what's going on. But this is the one where if
Right.
you have a little bit more time to literally, break it down. It's like, okay, let's just give you an example. I have an employee that's given their notice today, and I was expecting them to help me, and then on a big project. Okay, well, I've got to figure out how to handle that. So stopping, struggling, if you will, uh, in getting perspective, and then ultimately taking action. Or you could also reframe this in this idea of kind of a pause and then process and then take action. That's basically slowing down intentionally versus, oh my gosh, this is a mess. I don't know what I'm going to do. And you're catastrophizing things. I don't know if you've ever met anybody like that just catastrophizes, makes things even worse than they were, uh, versus slowing it down and calming, becoming more
Mhm.
calm. And I know, Bill, you have experience with like breathing techniques too, right? Or maybe
Yeah.
meditation. Can
Yeah.
you speak to that?
Yeah. Meditation and yeah. It's generally pretty simple stuff. You know,
Hmm.
you just learn to breathe. I actually got one of my main breathing techniques out of the martial arts, but where you breathe in through the nose for however many seconds. The
Hmm.
goal is usually 30 seconds, and then to
Mhm,
breathe out through the mouth for an equal 30 for an equal amount of time, and you know, it just kind of helps clear it helps clear the mind
mhm,
and puts you into a stable, steady state. You know, where everything's kind of balanced out, and
mhm.
you know, so that's a good one. But yeah, breathing. Always remember to breathe. Breathe, as Mr. Miyagi said, breathing very important.
Yeah, but being intentional in your breath
Yeah,
work, and there's people that
right.
coach on this. If you're dealing with a lot of crises regularly, like it's like part of your life, like almost daily, get
Hmm.
help because there's people we're talking some just general, challenges and stress. But if you're under constant, like really regular stress and you're not getting out underneath that, I definitely know people that specialize in breath work or
Hmm.
meditation as well. If you need to go
Yeah.
deeper, because there are some things here that I think we're just touching the surface on, and we could have a whole episode strictly on one of these things. And
Right.
the other thing I would add, Bill, to these things that we're talking about is when we have good systems or processes, and on one of our contributors, Doc C is not on here, but he always talk about systems. And if you
Yeah.
have good systems, if you have things that you can rely on,
Hmm.
that will help you in certainty. So, we have a
Oh yeah.
lot of fires out here in California recently. Now, not all of them always work, but we have a fire department. We have we have hydrants. We have systems. We have things in place
Hmm.
to help minimize the crisis. If we don't have that and it's like just a free for all, who's got a bucket, who's got a hose, that's going to be much more challenging. So having systems and
Yeah.
teams in place intentionally and cultivating them, that's my
Hmm.
passion, particularly as teams, making sure your
Yeah.
team is in alignment, ready to face the challenge together, right?
Hmm.
Versus everybody just fleeing to
And
themselves.
constantly working to improve those systems. You
Right.
know, tweaking them and adjusting them so that when that panic time comes, you're not going to be found wanting.
Absolutely.
The people know what to do, and you'll sail through it.
Yeah.
Even if the system's not entirely prepared for it, because
Exactly. If
because
you
no system's perfect.
no system's perfect, no person is perfect, but if you're intentional about this,
Mhm.
you can make it through. I know we're hitting you guys all with kind of fast and furious here with a lot of different ideas or topics in this, but the point is, we want you to be mindful and really be able to maintain composure under stress or stress. Um, it's again like we were saying, future crises are going to come, and the reason why we have this whole business roundtable podcast, Bill and I, is that we want to help business owners and teams in their particular area make it through another day, uh, live to tell another tale of success and
Mhm.
overcoming these challenges. Um, and so, Bill, I know you're working on some things with ethics. You're working on a book there, right? Some
Yep.
ethical dilemmas, right? That people are facing,
Yes.
crises.
Yes. Yes. And again, the idea is to not be fearful of whatever it is that comes
Mhm.
across, because
Yeah.
fear can reduce our risk taking ability, our resilience,
Mhm.
and all. And most of us, if not all of us, know that real growth comes in taking risks. And so
Mhm.
if you're afraid to take risks, then there's really not going to be much growth for you.
Yeah.
So you have to be prepared for what comes when you take the risk and things don't go perfectly.
Right. Things will happen. As we're
Right.
getting close to the end of the episode here today, Bill, with our hopefully, we've given you guys some nuggets to help you stay clear and calm and effective during these times. Um, and we've talked about the mindset and some practical strategies. Um, but we want to encourage you to, reflect how do you react under stress and what can you do to improve? So, Bill mentioned a few of them. Bill, maybe pick one that you would just really impair somebody that's really new to this, perhaps. And what would you say is you know, the particular, recommendation? If I'm new to this, maybe I'm taking on and just new to risk, what would you say? Hey, take this strategy, try this one out, and see how this goes for you.
I would say the easiest thing, because you don't need any training for it, is to take a deep cleansing breath
Mm,
and just just get yourself stable, in what it is that's going on, and go forward, because
mm,
there's a pretty good chance you know what to do. You're
mhm,
just in a panic, and
mhm.
you need to just get through it, through that initial step, and you'll be on your way.
Yeah, that's a good that's a great one. Just a cleansing breath. The other thing I would add
Mhm.
to that, just from my takeaway in that is, do you have at least one person in your life, whether it's a coworker, a friend, or colleague, that you could lean on in the challenge? Bill's one I lean on, like, hey, who could I talk to? Who could I process this? That's going to just be calm, right? Do you know somebody? Not that somebody's going to be excitable, but somebody that like you were saying earlier, Bill, like the sensei or the master, right? Who do you have in your life that you could lean on that is going to just remain calm and that you can, even if you get a little flighty, they're going to like help you stay grounded. They might even just say, take a cleansing breath, right?
Right.
Um, and that's part of the reason why Bill and I are here is because, we're resources to you. So if any of you are like, I'm not sure, I don't have anybody or whatnot, then reach out to Bill or I. We're happy to talk with you or point you in the right
Absolutely.
direction, right, Bill?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Um, so I know this is important stuff that we're talking about and not to take lightly. Um, but we want you guys to be, better equipped and again, like we said, stay calm, clear, collected, so that you can be really effective in leading your team, whether you're the business owner or the individual, supervisor, whatever the case might be. So that, and even if you're not leading anybody else but yourself, but you're around others, right, Bill? You can have a direct positive effect in how you remain calm.
Yeah, people notice the one who's being calm in the when the group's all in a panic.
Well, we appreciate you jumping on here, everybody, being back in the Business Roundtable podcast. As we're wrapping up, we love to have you subscribe, follow us on YouTube. You can find it under Steward Your Business. All of our Business Roundtable podcasts are there, or your favorite podcast platform. We also come to you weekly on LinkedIn as well. So don't be shy. Reach out to us. If you want to come on the podcast and be a guest with Bill and I or others, we'd love to have you as well. Simply go to podcast.stewardyourbusiness.com and find out more about how to become a guest on the podcast. And until next time, take care of yourself and lead yourself well. Thanks, everybody, for listening.